Welcome, students. This is Ms. Jelena Reyes, and for today's discussion for our environmental management class, we're going to talk about the population. This is part 2 already because we have discussed already the part 1, okay, which is the population growth, and then the pros and cons of population, its positive and negative effects. So for our part 2, we're going to talk about first the strategies to lessen population growth. So sa ating textbook, meron po tayong 8 strategies that we can apply in our lives, and we can also teach other people to start doing para maka-lesson po tayo dun sa growth ng population natin. The first strategies that we can do is first to have a sustainable number. What do we mean by this? We should be able to maintain a human population to numbers that are sustainable. So pag sinabi nating sustainable, yung kaya lang po nating i-maintain as a nation, no? So dapat isipin natin ilan ba yung available resources that we had at ilan lang ba yung kayang i-maintain or i-sustain ng resources na meron po tayo. Number 2, we should have a universal access to family planning and services. We should be able to provide universal access such as yung mga safe and effective contraceptive options for both sexes. Kasi pag hindi po highly available or accessible atong mga family planning services, it will eventually, 'di ba, result into high number of population kasi nga instead of having options kung paano mo makakamit yung desired numbers lang of family size na gusto mo sana in the family, hindi mo yun magawa. It's because the access to family planning services such as yung contraceptives are not available, or kung available man sila, masyado namang mahal. So, pag masyadong mahal, the tendency, 'di ba, nagkakaroon tayo ng mga unwanted or hindi sinasadya na pagbubuntis. So, nakakadagdag pa ito dun sa growth of the population. Number 3, strategies to lessen population growth is empower women. Bakit kaya? Ano kayang ibig sabihin ng empowering women can help the population growth lessons? When women are economically, socially, and legally empowered, so ibig sabihin they are given same treatment as men in terms of education and in terms of work, then mas magkakaroon ng chance na bumaba yung number of population. Kasi isipin ninyo kapag ang babae, they are into education, nag-aaral sila, so the priority is given in their education. Kapag ang babae naman ay may work, then the tendency, her priority as of now is work and to save. Yan. Compare natin sa isang babae that is not given the opportunity to study and work. So, the tendency ang iniisip na lang niya if merong dumating na lalaki sa buhay niya, di ba? So, anong pang gagawin niya? Siyempre, to have children, di ba? And have family. Siyempre, pagka the girl or the woman have yung children or family at an early age, so mas marami pa yung chances na dumami yung kanyang magiging anak. It's because bata nga siya nagsimula. So, ganun yung nagiging problem if the women are not empowered. Hindi sila nabibigyan ng chance to make decisions kung ilan lang ang gusto nilang maging anak. So, kapag binibigyan kasi natin ng opportunities itong mga women natin to decide the size of the family that they want, then nagkakaroon ngayon tayo ng lessen population growth. Next is the sex education. When we say sex education, we offer age-appropriate sexuality education for all students. Alam ko na this is not an open topic for everyone, especially here in the Philippines, a conservative country na nagiging reason kung bakit nagkakaroon tayo ng overly populated nation. Kasi the age-appropriate topics about sex education is not always available. Kasi nga, parang hindi siya normal and hindi siya opened topic to talk about. Pero, one, okay, of the biggest help para tayo ay makapag-lessen ng population growth is to be able to educate the youth especially, di ba? Yung mga malalakas na mga kabataan, di ba? Na very curious about everything. So instead of them experiencing it all alone, why not give them appropriately sexually education topics? Next is the school programs. Incorporating topics on population, environmental, and development into school programs at various stages and include information about future implications. So like the sex education, mas maganda sana kung yung mga school mismo natin, nagkakaroon sila ng, or nagkakandak sila ng program that are giving education to different stages ng mga ages ng mga kabataan, right? Kasi it would really give future implications to them if they well known, di ba? Hindi lang actually population yung nalilesen natin, but also the risk of them having or acquiring diseases, ganyan. So, marami yung pwedeng makatulong, di ba? Through proper, appropriately sex education onto school programs. Next is to stabilize the population by persuading leaders to entrust to stabilizing population growth to the exercise of human rights and human development. Okay? Through the right leaders, persuading the right leaders para matulungan tayo to be able to stabilize the population. Next is reform taxes. So, when we say reform taxes, baguhin natin na magkaroon lang tayo ng changes sa taxes natin when it comes to having or giving subsidies for families with less number of children. Ngayon kasi kung sino yung mas marami na mga anak, sila yung mas maraming nakukuha. So, syempre yung mga tao ay mag-aanak kasi mas maraming makukuha ko na subsidies from the government if I have too much children, too many children. So, the tendency ngayon, yun nga, instead of na katulong tayo to be able to strategize on how to lessen the population growth, mas nagkakaroon ng motivation, di ba, the family to have more children or siguro i-attain nila yung certain maximum number of children na makakatanggap ng subsidies. And lastly, yung family planning natin. Okay, na dapat before starting a family, meron na talaga tayong plano on the size of the family, kung ano lang or hanggang saan lang yung kayang i-sustain ng family na yan. So, now, bakit nga ba kailangan nating pang mag-strategize to lessen the population growth? Ano nga ba yung mga problems that we are facing when we have certain or over numbers of population? So, population and its problem. What is the problem? So, the Earth populace is increasing in an alarming scale, and the challenges and difficulties to be faced are countless and crucial. Makikita po natin nowadays that having or too much population gives challenges and difficulties lalo sa atin, no? Ang dami nating nagiging problema dito. Mamaya, madidiscuss natin kung ano-ano yung mga yon. Kung what are the effects of this population to the society. So we have here population concerns, which are the space, food, and minerals. If population continually grows, where will more people live? How to feed the extra number of people? And is the supply of minerals and energy enough to sustain lahat ng mga tao that are living in our nation or in the world or on earth, right? Isipin nyo na lang, kapag ka mas maraming tao ang nabubuhay sa mundo, mas marami po na consumptions ang pangangailangan, ang mga ngailangan, no? Maraming mga ah, natural resources ang kailangan natin na magamit kapag mas marami ang tao. So, is it enough for all of the people living in a certain area or environment? Yan. So, bakit nga ba? Bakit ngayon? Bakit natin pinag-uusapan itong ganitong klaseng topic? So, it's because the problem arising from population are not new. Hindi ito bago. Matagal na natin itong problema. Pinag-uusapan natin ito ngayon, it's because we want to be part of the change of the problem. So we have here Thomas Malthus. He lives from 1766 to 1834. He wrote a famous essay in 1798 which deliberated the struggles caused by population growth. So he argued that the number of people always increased faster than the food supplies and that eventually the world would be unable to feed its people. So when that point is reached, nature would impose her own check on further growth in the form of disease and famines and wars. So ang sinasabi po ni Thomas Malthus dito na kapag yung population natin will continually increases then or faster than yung ating mga available supplies, then eventually hindi na natin mapapakain or hindi na magiging sapat yung natural resources natin to be able to feed all of the people. Okay? So, pagka dumating na yung point na yan, ano ang mangyayari? Nature would impose her own checks. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Diba? Kaya nga tayo nagkakaroon ng mga diseases, COVID-19, famines, and even wars. Diba? And even yung mga natural calamities na nangyayari, it's because of kung ano yung ginagawa natin dun sa mundo natin, yun din yung balik sa atin. Kung hindi natin, di ba, kayang i-maintain, then the earth will maintain for herself. Kung hindi nyo kayang i-control, then the earth will control yung population natin. And ayaw natin yung mangyayari. It's because mahirap pagka si nature na yung naging kalaban po natin. So, si Thomas Malthus, sinasabi niya, that pagka patuloy na naging ganito or hindi natin na-lessen yung pagdami ng population natin, there is a high risk for us of diseases, famines, and even wars. Okay? So, sabi kasi natin, too many people mean too much consumption, depletion, and or pollution, and this threatens the carrying capacity of a naturally resource-limited collection of global ecologies. Pagka dumadami ang tao, too much people means more consumption. More consumption means depletion ng ating natural resources at pagkakaroon pa ng mas maraming pollution, di ba? And yung threat sa natural resource po natin, baka hindi na po kayanin kapag sobrang dami na ng tao that are living in this world. What do we mean by overpopulation? And how does yung growing human population puts pressure on Earth? Okay? So, overpopulation is occurs when there are more people living in an area than there are resources to support them. Sasabi natin that a place is overly populated kapag mas marami na yung tao kesa yung resources that is available for that town. Ano-ano nga ba yung mga nation's capacity to nourish itself? Okay? Or yung mga tao? First, the nation's capacity is the availability of arable land and accessible water and population pressures. So, kapag ka hindi na kayang i-sustain ng Earth natin, yung dami ng population natin, ibig sabihin, we are overly populated. Kapag mas marami na yung tao kaysa yung natural resources that we are using to support ourselves. So, the population of the Earth is arriving at undeniably and uncontrollably levels as it confronts shortage of resources. Kapag nararamdaman natin yung shortages and especially for food, clean air, and water, then it is a proof that there is an overpopulation already. So population observed in less developed and developing countries. Kadalasan nangyayari si overpopulation sa mga hindi pa well-developed countries. And it is hurting the existing meager resources, exhaustive and rigorous agriculture performed to generate food, impairs and destructs the environment due to application of harsh chemical fertilizer, pesticides, and insecticides. So, sinasabi dito that kapag mas marami yung tao, syempre mas marami yung food na kailangan po nila, right? Pag mas marami yung food na kailangan nilang magtanim. And yung pagtatanim nila, hindi na nagiging natural. Kasi nga, mas gusto nila, mas mabilis and mas marami yung maanin nila. Kaya gumagamit tayo ng mga chemical fertilizers that eventually nakakasira dun sa naturals or minerals ng land natin, no? Kaya nagkakaroon ito ng negative impact sa earth natin. Yun yung hindi nakikita on the naked eyes of us due to overpopulation. Kasi nakikita lang natin kapag maraming tao, sabihin maraming consumption, yun lang. Pero hindi natin nakikita yung mga mas grabe pa palang effects na dulot ni overpopulation. Another definition of overpopulation is a label that refers to a situation in which the bulk expands to a boundary that aggravates the environmental corrosion coupled with the plunge in the quality of life. So, syempre, kapag dumadami or mas marami yung numbers of people living in an area, nagkakaroon tayo ng iba't ibang problema, di ba? Like, in the environment, corrosions and coupled with a plunge in the quality of life. Ano-ano nga ba yung mga nagpapababa ng quality of life? Mapapansin naman natin, di ba, in a country or a nation in which they are overly populated, nakikita natin yung quality ng life po nila is hindi ganun kaganda compared sa isang lugar na hindi pa masyadong maraming tao ang namumuhay doon. So, ibig sabihin, the resources are sustainable for them dahil nasusupport pa naman yung mga pangangailangan nila. Ano nga ba itong cycle of overpopulation na tinatawag po natin? Na magpapakita sa atin kung gaano kahirap magkaroon ng overly populated na nation or bansa or an area. So we have here low standard of living. Siyempre, kapag maraming tao, nagkakaroon tayo ng mababang way of living. So, ibig sabihin, ang hirap ng buhay. Poverty is equals to population. So, or overpopulation is equals to poverty. Next is hunger and malnutrition. Since the food is not already enough for us, ang tendency yung mga bata, di ba, they're not given a proper meal para sana healthy po sila. So, ang nagiging result is into hunger and malnutrition. Even the overcrowding, the land or the area is not enough para hawakan lahat ng mga tao that are living in that certain area. So, overcrowding means na, mabawansin natin yung mga squatters, di ba? They don't have their own land. Saan sila tumitira? Saan na lang sila, dahil na yung space, di ba nila, kung saan na lang sila nag-i-stay. Some of them are staying under the bridge, some of them are constructing yung mga bahay nila on a, 'di ba, on top of a water, ganyan. So, makikita mo talaga yung overcrowding na dulot ng overpopulation. Kasi kahit saan na lang pumesto, basta lang meron lang matuluyan. Next, cycle of overpopulation is the depletion of natural resources. Makikita po natin yung mga kabundukan, kabukiran, ganyan. Dahil kailangan ma-sustain yung pangangailangan ng ganito karaming tao in this certain area, talagang nalalagasan po tayo ng natural resources. So, the most crucial dilemma in confronting civilization is not energy, is not economy, it's not the food supply, it's not the environment, but it is the population. So, entirely, all of the above mentioned would likely to be elevated if we may perhaps manage human population. So sana we would be able to have yung understanding that having an overly populated society, okay, is the main reason kung bakit may low standard of living po tayo. Kung bakit nadideplete yung natural resources natin, kung bakit tayo overcrowded, kung bakit tayo nagugutom, and bakit magkakaroon ng mga malnourished children. It's because of the overpopulation that is commonly a problem ng mga bansa that are not yet well developed. So, we have here regulations on how are we going to control our own population. But, even though may mga regulation po tayo, it is still always our choice. Okay? Kasi sino nga bang gagawa dito? We're going to practice yung mga regulations. And, di ba, sino nga ba yung magko-control ng size of the populations or a family? The smallest unit, di ba? In the smallest unit, which is the family, that doon nag-i-start talaga lahat ng the numbers of the population and everything. Diba? Sino nga ba? It's us. So, it is still our choice. Tulad ng recycling is a choice, family planning is a choice, right? So, who will really solve the problems associating with overpopulation? Syempre tayo lang din. We have here regulations from the government, like the Responsible Parenthood and the Reproductive Health Act of 2012. This is informally known as the Reproductive Health Law or RH Law. It's a law here in the Philippines that guarantees universal access to methods of contraceptives, fertility control, sexual education, and maternal care. So, makikita natin dito yung mga strategies that we have understand kanina or na-list natin, diba, on the RH law. Okay? So, the passing of this legislation was marred by controversies. Diba? Problema natin si overpopulation, pero itong si RH law is naging controversial pa rin sa among experts, academicians, religious organizations, and major political figures. Hindi ko alam kung ilang taon na kayo nung pinabasa itong batas na ito. It's always the topic of debate kung ipapasa ba siya or makakatulong ba siya. Diba? Marami kasi, church versus state, common problem kung bakit hindi ito agad na ipasa or bakit siya maraming controversies. So, si RH Bill, oh no, it's RH law already. Okay? was pending in the legislature. So, intense deliberation and rallies, equally embracing and contradicting the RH bill, took place nationwide. Napakaraming nag-rally. Okay? Dahil ayaw nila tong law na ito. So, the birth control policy in the Philippines in the midst of conservation churches challenges to future generation. Si RH law kasi, it it gives access to contraceptives. Contraceptives, hindi ito yung mga natural way, no? Para yung mga, it's not a natural way para hindi tayo mabuntis. So, pag gumagamit tayo ng mga contraceptives like the condoms and the pills, ibig sabihin, ito yung mga scientific ways to be able to reduce yung unwanted pregnancies. We have here controversy since the competing standards or stands ng Catholic churches, especially here in the Philippines, that most numbers of people here are Catholic. Obviously, they don't support any program of the government that relates with the issue of both birth control. So for them, any form of artificial birth control is anti-life. That is why mayroon tong controversy sa atin. So, while it is undeniably true, those babies are a gift from God and that they bring joy to the family, we also have to consider their future. So, church versus state, they have contradicting issues regarding their stance on the population of the Philippines, especially on the birth control. So, hindi sinusupport ng church ang birth control that are artificial. So, para sa kanila, it is an anti-life. So, as parents, meron tayong future as future parents, here the following checklist to ponder. Pagka we are into that stage na we are already going to settle. First is, are we capable of giving them a good life? Can we feed them at least 3 times a day? Can we send them to school? Can we provide them the essential of good living? And do we have the time to take good care of them? So, ito yung mga kailangan mong i-consider if, di ba, binabalak mo na magpamilya, ganyan. So, or nasa isip mo na. So, these are the questions to ponder. Kung ready na ba tayo? Kaya kung hindi pa, then prepare ourselves muna. Wag muna. Okay? So, if all or most of the answers to the above checklist are in the negative, then we are definitely not ready to raise a child. So, getting married and having children are two different things. It would be a terrible mistake to bring children into the world and have them experience poverty and hard work to an early age. So it is a pity to see the young children sleep on the streets, begging for food and doing inappropriate deeds, all because their parents are neglecting them. Imagine yourself in that situation. Would you be happy to experience such misfortune? So, poverty ay namamana. Ang poverty ay pwede mong ipamana sa magiging anak mo. So, if you are not yet ready to settle and, have children, wag muna. Prepare yourselves para maging ready ka once that time comes in. Or kung ikaw ay nasa situation nowadays that nahihirapan ka to live your life because hindi ka nabigyan ng ganong kagandang buhay ng family mo. Huwag mong ipamana sa magiging anak mo yung buhay na nararanasan mo ngayon. Okay? So, kailangan mag-isip tayo ng mabuti. We should be practical on our decisions kung ano ba yung mas makakabuti for them. Not dahil gusto lang natin or siguro nakikita lang natin na yung mga kasabayan natin are already having this and this and this. Kailangan maging maging practical din tayo sa pag-iisip. Okay? Kung you are here on our discussion today and meron ka ng family, may mga sarili ka ng anak, yan. We can still, di ba, create a way in which they could have yung family po natin that we are in, okay, could have better life through um, having our own decisions, di ba? Kasi tayo lang, it's our choice on how are we going to sustain the family. So, alam natin, more numbers of people means more consumption. Kung hindi na kaya ng natural resources natin and even our own resources, then wag muna. Okay? We have here, before we end our topic, we have a quotation. If we don't control the Earth's population, nature will do it for us. And nature will have no pity. Nature will not honor your rights to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Kung ayaw po natin na, ano ba yun? Yung nature na yung kumilos, no? Na bawasan tayo dito sa Earth. Then, we should make a way kung paano natin malilesen yung pagkakaroon ng population growth. So, your decision and your choices in life really had big impact on the earth and in our environment or on our nature. So, nature will not honor your rights to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Wala na yung pakialam kapag siya na yung decide, hindi na, ang dami-dami nyo na, hindi ko na kaya. So, may mga baha ngayon, which will kill people, may mga famines right now, di ba, na kita niyo sobrang dami ng namamatay. So, this is maybe a warning signal or a wake-up call for everyone to do our part. Gawin natin yung part natin through making the right decisions as of now. Okay? So that would be all for our chapter 2 of the population. So I hope na may mga natutunan kayo. There are certain issues that maybe you're not, ano ba yun, parang hindi kayo sang-ayon, ganun, or meron kayong mga negative reaction. You can, I am open for your suggestions and your comments, diba? So, comment down below anything that you would want para magkaroon pa tayo ng mas better na discussion. So, that would end our discussion for this day. I hope that you have enjoyed and I hope that you have learned something today. Again, this is Mom Jelena Reyes for our environmental management class, the topic of population. Goodbye, class.